it was just beyond me. And yet quite soon I found myself in a film. And I've made a film every year of my career, actually. You haven't seen them, because, thank goodness. You know, it was only when I made Richard III, which I produced and wrote the screenplay of, that that was really my calling card to the industry. You know, that I wasn't just one of those theatre actors who shouted in the evening for a living. But I rapidly discovered that it is the same. The commitment is the same. The change came to give me confidence to be a film actor when I did Macbeth with Judi Dench for the Royal Shakespeare Company, and we did it in a little theatre. I mean, more smaller than this, 100 people sitting around a magic circle. No intermission. It only takes 2 hours. It's a short play, and you could speak it at this level. If it were done when it is done, then it were done quickly. Immediate. And actually, no projection, no telling the audience what they should think, no display, just existing. And an audience close enough to touch you. Well, the closest audience of all is the camera, isn't it? Sometimes gets a bit too close. So that Macbeth was my leaping off point from being a theatre actor into thinking, oh, imagine if you didn't have to tell the audience where to look or what to think, or you weren't running alongside the part, giving a commentary on it, but you actually just were in it. Because that's what the camera picks up. A camera doesn't want to be told. Just wants to observe. And I think now I'm beginning to get the grasp of it, but it's taken me a long time. So someone said to me today, Mr. Holmes looks so easy. Well, yeah, it is really. It's got easier. But which do I prefer? Well, I think if I'm making a movie, I think, ooh, when can I get on stage again? And if I'm in the middle of a long run, I think, ooh, when can I make a movie?
Well, I love that you go back and forth. I think that's great. We have time for one last question. Who's got a good one? The girl who's insisting that she does. The woman, excuse me.
Well, I'm just curious why you're avoiding your memoirs, and I'm requesting that you please write them.
Oh, no, how kind of you. Well, you can go on my website, and I've written extensively about my career. What the memoirs were inviting me to do was to write about myself. I'd always had doubts that there was anything interesting to say about me. And I began with my parents, imagining the book. And my mother gave birth to me in May 1939. That was just 5 months before the Second World War, and all that that entailed for the United Kingdom and for Europe. And I began to imagine what it felt like for her. My father, my sister was 5 years older than me, and there they were. And I got too upset, really, imagining the answers to questions that I never asked them. My mother died when I was 12, my father when I was 24, so I didn't know them really very well as people, and I knew them as parents. And I thought I was rather invading their space, so I won't write about my parents, I thought, and then I thought, well, if I'm writing about me as a kid, of course I've got to write about them. So it all got a bit too... I didn't need to write it. I could think about those things myself. Probably will more than I ever have done before, but to write it all down. But if you want to know what it's like to playing Gandalf. You can go on the website, my website, it's all there. I invented blogging, actually. It is amazing to think that when we made the first Lord of the Rings, the internet had only just been invented. The things that have happened in our lifetime. And Peter Jackson and I both started sending out messages into the ether to people who were waiting for the films to be made, all those Tolkien enthusiasts. The studio was furious with us, you know. They had their publicity departments. They didn't need the director and Gandalf sounding off. But Peter and I are not vulgarians, but we know that the only reason we're in this business is for the audience. That's why we're doing it. If nobody comes to see the movie, hardly worth making, really. If nobody comes to see the play, there is no play. And so we both went under the radar and invented blogging. Why am I saying all this?
I don't know. I think we have to go.
No, if you want to know about it, it's all there. And if I wrote a book, frankly, all I would do is I'd lift all that stuff and print it out. So there we go.
So check out Ian's website, everyone. Thank you for coming tonight. Ian Mckellen.
Oh, and I should just say, Screen Actors Guild, I am a devoted union man. I'll just tell, do sit down. I'll just tell you a little story about